What's up YouTube? I'm Galloway74 here, bringing you our Week 3 battle of the PEBA. This week we take on Aquarius, coach of the Chicago Strength Staff. We are both going into this game with a 2-0 record, so after today's game, someone will be leaving with their first loss. So that is pretty interesting to say the least. I apologize, you guys are going to see this on Monday rather than Sunday. I was supposed to record this on Saturday night, but I ended up going out, and by the time I got back, I was so tired to the point where the recording would be really bad. So hence why this is going up on Monday, but it's okay, it's going to go up. Anyway, we're going to look over his team. His team is really interesting to say the least. It's very, there's a lot of chemistry with this team. His team consists of Mega Scizor, Garchomp, Togekiss, Entei, Azelf, Roserade, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Bronzong, Alolan Persian, and Miltank, Z-Mon users being Garchomp and Azelf. Now, first off, what I think he's going to bring consists of Mega Scizor, Entei, Azelf, Vaporeon, Miltank, and the last one could be either Alolan Persian or Garchomp. Probably Garchomp, since that does a little bit of work against my team, but Alolan Persian could definitely be a bring too, as well as Bronzong, but I definitely don't see the Roserade coming. I don't think Togekiss will come, and Jolteon's like a maybe. So that's the team I think he's going to bring. Basically, as you guys, I went over in the draft analysis a billion times. No, I didn't go into the draft analysis. I forgot it. I do not really have a Psychic switch in. Thus, Azelf is kind of going to run through my team. I've kind of forced to bring Greninja this week because Azelf is such a big problem because of the Psychic weakness of my team. And the thing that's really annoying about his team is that Mega Scizor is weak to fire and Garchomp is weak to ice. So trying to figure out and hidden power on a few of my Mons or coverage for my Mons is really tough because Fire doesn't do much against Garchomp and Ice doesn't do much against Scizor. So the chemistry between those two Mons are really, really good. And that's why I think Garchomp is definitely a possibility for that last Mon to bring, because that could be pretty annoying for my team. And then lastly, I had kind of a problem prepping for this team, mainly because I had 7 Mons that would do pretty good against this team, but obviously you can only bring 6, and if I take one off, then it will cause a little bit of problems. Spoilers, I don't bring Mega Diancie this game, and it's kind of scuffy because Mega Diancie does go in against a lot of his team. But he's got a Scizor and a Bronzong. Particularly Bronzong is a better switch in because Bronzong can just set up rocks and do whatever against my team and really hurt it. As I do have Volcarona as a win con this week, and I really don't want rocks going up from Bronzong at least. See, if Garchomp has rocks, it's a little easier to take care of, but if Bronzong does, it's going to be kind of a problem. And Mega Scizor could set up, and if there's rocks on the field, I'm going to have a much harder time dealing with it. But nevertheless, that is his team. The team we are bringing this week consists of Volcarona, Tentacruel, Hippowdon, Tangrowth, Rotom Frost, and Greninja. So as I had just mentioned, the first Mon we are bringing on the team this week is Volcarona. Volcarona is holding the Bugini MC with the moves Quiver Dance, Fiery Dance, Bug Buzz, and Roost. Max special attack, 176 speed with the Timid Nature, and 80 in HP. Basically, this is my late game cleaner. This kind of goes in on his team if I get up to +1, +1, +1, or even better, +2, +2, +2, because he does not have a switch in except for one Mon, and 1.5 at least, and that Mon is Entei. I do not have coverage for Entei on this thing, and I need to get rid of that thing in order for my Volcarona to do work. And Miltank with Thick Fat and Max Special Defense could take a decent amount of hits, but I do have the Bugini MZ, and if I am able to connect with that, then it's going to just do a load of damage to it. But outside those two Mons, there's nothing really stopping this late game. Maybe a Scarf Togekiss mate. No, I don't even see that really stopping if I'm at +1. But setting up is going to be a little tough. I can do it on Scizor because I really expect that thing to come. Maybe Alolan Persian or even Roserade, but I don't see Roserade coming. And then maybe like a Vaporeon. Actually, surprisingly, I could probably set up a Quiver Dance if it's switching in at least. So that is the Volcarona. Really important Mon for the week. If I'm able to set up, I think I'll have a good chance of winning the game. Next up, we have Tentacruel. Tentacruel is Rockin' Scald, Sludge Wave, Rapid Spin, and Toxic with Black Sludge. Liquid Ooze has the ability, 248 HP, Bold Nature, Max Special Defense, and 8 in Speed for a little bit of creeping. This stops Roserade because if he has Giga Drain, then it's just Liquid Ooze. It's just a great ability. And then Leaf Storm, I can tank a few Leaf Storms because of Max Special Defense. If it's Choice Specs, it could be a problem, but at least I could switch into Volcarona in that case and try to start setting up that way. Tentacruel also deals with Togekiss really well because not really any special moves is going to touch Tentacruel. Air Slash flinches could be annoying, but I'm not really taking much from him anyway. And this also stops Vaporeon from becoming a stallish problem because it could Scald burn me, but Scald's going to be doing nothing. I'm going to fire off a Toxic, and I could just whittle Vaporeon down to the point where it does not become a problem. And this could be used for Entei if, like, Roserade Vaporeon and Togekiss don't come. But I'm more especially defensive, so it's definitely probably not going to be used for Entei too much because Entei's got, it's a physical attacker, obviously. And it does get moves like Bulldoze and Stone Edge and Extreme Speed, so Tentacruel's not the greatest switching. But if Entei's locked into like a fire move, if it's a choice item, then it's going to be a little bit easier for Tentacruel to deal with. And Rapid Spin to get rid of rocks from Garchomp and Bronzong for Volcarona to set up a late game. So that is the Tentacruel. Next up, we have Hippowdon. Hippowdon is rocking leftovers with Sand Force and not Sandstream, with Earthquake, Crunch, Whirlwind, Slack Off, Max HP, Max Defense. This is my main defensive wall of the week. This is here to stop Garchomp. I did not want Sandstream because some weird Sandveil set could have came, and that would have pissed me off. So I decided, and the chip damage wasn't really great against his team, so I decided just to take it off in general. It would probably just hurt my team in the end. I don't really get a boost from it, so that's why I chose Sand Force. Hippowdon stops Garchomp at all costs, especially a defensive Garchomp. It stops Scizor. I do have to be careful. I have to Whirlwind that out. And if Scizor is the last Mon, then I can't stop it from setting up with Hippowdon. It stops Entei to an extent. If it's got Sacred Fire, it's going to burn me, and that's going to be a really big problem. My switch-ins to Entei aren't that great. Revenging Entei is not that hard, but switch-ins are really difficult. Sorry, that's a Discord. It stops the physical Azelf. Azelf, again, major problem. If it's physical, it's not that bad, but I'm fully expecting a special Azelf, and that's going to be a serious problem. But Hippowdon is there for a physical set, and then it also stops the Miltank. I can just Toxic it. If it has Heal Bell, it might be a problem, but I don't think it will. Well, it might, but... And then Bronzong because of Crunch, so... That is Hippowdon. Really big physical wall, but it can take a few special hits from weaker Mons, like Jolteon, but outside that, Hippowdon. Next up, we have Tangrowth. Tangrowth is rocking the Assault Vest with Power Whip, Hidden Power Fire, Knockoff, and Giga Drain. 248 HP, 252 Special Defense with a Sassy Nature. This is my Jolteon switch-in because my Jolteon switch-in did not exist up to this point, and I don't get any hit from that thing whatsoever. Knockoff is good for damage. I decided to go with HP Fire because I can at least knock off Garchomp, and that helps a bit. And if I had HP Ice and Knockoff, I wouldn't be able to touch Mega Scizor whatsoever. So that's why I decided to go with HP Fire in the end. Power Whip for Vaporeon and just basically all of his team, and Giga Drain for the off chance I get like Scald Burned or whatever. So that's what Giga Drain's there for. I didn't really need the Earthquake because I wouldn't be... Well, like Earthquake and Power Whip are doing about the same to Jolteon, so I didn't think it'd be worth it. And I'm not staying in on Entei any day of the week anyway, so what's the point of running it if I'm not going to stay in on it? So that is Hippowdon, what, Tangrowth. Next up we got our box lunch here, Rotom Frost, first time it's coming. I debated bringing Rotom Frost and Deontay. I went back and forth. I decided for Rotom Frost because it's got Volt Switch, with Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Hidden Power, Ice, and Sub. Max Special Attack, Modest Nature, 2-8 Speed, and 48 HP with leftovers. I wanted to have the pivoting momentum with Volt Switch, and I have U-Turn on my Gren to get in like Volcarona or like any of my other walls. So I wanted to work the pivoting game a bit. I'm not sure how well it's going to work with a Garchomp there, but luckily I do have the HP Ice that does one-shot that thing. I didn't run Blizzard because I'm kind of a pussy. I didn't want to miss Blizzard, and I didn't think the extra damage would be too valuable as I'm just going to be clicking Volt Switch most of the time anyway. And this is mainly a Togekiss switch-in because Tentacruel is my only switch-in. Granted, Tentacruel does a really good job at dealing with Togekiss, but Rotom Frost is always there as a backup plan, and the Modest Nature does enough damage to his team. Lastly, we have Greninja. Greninja is holding the Expert Belt. It is Ash Greninja with Battle Bond, who's being Surf, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, U-Turn, Max Special Attack, 200 Speed with Timid Nature, and 56 in HP. This outspeeds, what does this outspeed? Azelf, I believe. Yeah, it outspeeds Azelf because Azelf revenging it. I'm going to need to do that because, again, switching doesn't exist for Azelf. This coverage is really good against this team. I can't really touch Scizor, but I have Volcarona if rocks aren't up, and I have Hippowdon if there's still Mons left to Whirlwind them out. So Scizor's not the biggest problem as of like yet. So this moveset is fine with me. U-turn again for pivoting momentum. Surf to revenge Entei. Dark Pulse to revenge Azelf. And just Ice Beam to hit Togekiss at least and Garchomp. So yeah, that is basically the Greninja set, and that is the team we're bringing this week. Again, no Mega Diancie, so I'm a little skeptical about the team as Mega Diancie is probably one of the best breakers on my team. But regardless, we are going to head over to Pokemon Showdown and see how the battle went. Alright, we are here on Pokemon Showdown, and the first thing I'm noticing is that he did not bring the Vaporeon or the Bronzong, so I'm immediately screaming at myself that I did not bring the Mega Diancie. That's okay. I'm going to lead off with Rotom Frost because he's only good for Togekiss, and I can just Volt Switch out and whatever. He does lead with Garchomp, so I could HP Ice, except I don't because I'm an absolute puss, and he just puts up the rocks turn 1. So this was a really bad turn 1. I could have just HP Ice, and this Garchomp wouldn't become a problem, as he does have Toxic. I am going to go for In the Tangrowth because I can just knock off whatever it has, and it had a Focus Sash. I do live a Stone Edge Rotom Frost every time, so I don't know why I switched out. It was a really bad move, as it's going to cause a little bit of a problem. I'm just going to click Giga Drain now that I knocked off the Garchomp, but he does switch into Scizor. I do have HP Fire, but I'm not going to reveal it immediately just in case he does pull a double, as I can just go into Hippowdon, as Hippowdon is really important in this game. Tangrowth's not too important because it can take hits from Azelf, but outside of that, Hippowdon's better for everything else. Speaking of Azelf, I make another really, really bad move this turn, as I do want to just get damage on this thing, as he does fire off the Energy Ball. I do live, but getting that damage off on Hippowdon was huge, because now his Garchomp can take care of my Hippowdon. My Entei switching doesn't exist anymore, my Miltank switching doesn't exist. That turn was really big. I don't know why I stayed in, knowing the Energy Ball was a thing. And he even predicts me to switch out and save it, as he does go for the Psychic, so good plays on his part. He's pulling really nice predictions with this Azelf, and this thing is becoming a problem immediately. I do want to keep my Tangrowth. I do want to knock off just in case he goes back into Scizor. I am not going to click HP Fire again because U-turn kills me from here. I am going to go into Rotom because Rotom isn't really good except for Togekiss, as he does click U-turn. It does a lot of damage. Sorry. Alright, he goes into Miltank, and I'm just going to go for Substitute to scout out what he's going to do, hoping he goes for a Toxic for the off chance he's like a really passive Miltank. But he just goes for the Rock Tomb, and I'm like, I have to keep note of that now because Volcarona can't really set up on this thing. Even though he probably would have had Toxic anyway. I'm just going to go with Thunderbolt, do some nice 36%. However, that does tell me that this is a very specially defensive Miltank with a lot of HP. I'm not going to say max, but it was pretty close. I think he showed me the sets after the battle. It was pretty high up. But I can go to Tentacle knowing I can take a hit from this thing and at least get a Toxic on it. As he does go into Garchomp, which it's good that this thing is now poisoned because Garchomp does not have reliable recovery. But if I had clicked HP Ice turn 1, it wouldn't have really been a problem to begin with. Now I gotta go into Hippowdon. Since I took the Energy Ball earlier, I am going to die to this Dragon Claw that he throws off. So losing Hippo was absolutely huge. I don't know why I took the damage. It was a really bad move on my part. And his Garchomp is still sitting at 62%. Luckily, this gives me a chance to go into Greninja, and I know he's not going to stay in, so I am going to click U-turn, as he does go into Scizor, as I do just fire out the U-turn, and this does give me a switch into Tentacruel. I can't go into Volcarona because the rocks are up, and if he's got knockoff, it's going to do a lot of damage. It won't kill, but I'll just have to keep roosting up. He goes back into Garchomp. I can just Rapid Spin. I don't mind taking the rough skin damage because I'll just get most of it back from Black Sludge, as he is going to take more Toxic damage, and I am whittling this Garchomp down really slowly, which is pretty nice, as I am going to switch out now into Tangrowth, as Tangrowth can deal with this Garchomp, because I'm seeing if he's got Stealth Rock, Toxic, and Dragon Claw. I'm assuming the last move is Earthquake, so he is a pretty defensive Garchomp. The set-wise, he's a pretty good defensive Garchomp. I do go for the HP Fire this time, expecting the Scizor, but of course he goes in the Miltank the one time. I click HP Fire, so that was really unfortunate. Here I'm just going to go for the knockoff to get rid of the Miltank leftovers, as at this point my only way I see myself winning is somehow miraculously setting up with Volcarona on one of his mons, like Scizor or something like that. But Entei is still at a very high health, so even if I do set up, it's going to be really, really hard because Entei still exists over there. His Miltank heals up, so now Miltank can take a hit as well. And he goes into Azelf, and this is really unfortunate because I do click Rapid Spin and get the rocks away, but Azelf can just click buttons now, as I do have to switch into something. And I am going to go into Tangrowth. I don't want to risk my Greninja because if he clicks Energy Ball, that thing just dies. He is going to just click Psychic, and I thought I could take 2, but looking at that damage, I 100% cannot take 2. So I do have to sack off the Tangrowth, which is very unfortunate. Luckily, if this Azelf is like Scarf or whatever, actually, no, it's not Scarf because it switched moves earlier. I can click U-turn here, but I decided to click Surf because I do kind of expect that Garchomp to come out, as he does go into Garchomp. So luckily, he does give me the Garchomp, and I am able to get my Battle Bond boost, which boosts my power a lot. He is going to go into Togekiss. I do have the Ice Beam, but on my calc, it's like barely a roll to kill, a lot in his favor, so I'm not going to risk it. I go into Tentacruel, and he has got Body Slam, and I was like, oh no, because I didn't even think this thing got Body Slam, to be real, so that was really good part on Aqua's part. I didn't want to let Azelf get a free switch in, so I did go for the Sludge Wave, as he does go into Azelf, and luckily I do catch that thing, and Azelf is down. So it's looking pretty bad. Now he sends in the Entei, and he is going to fire off a Bulldoze, and that is 500% banded damage. I do live, which is a miracle, And I do fire off a Scald that does a decent amount of damage. He does have some bulk in him based on that damage, but I'm not sure how much. As in this turn, he's just going to be able to knock out my Tentacle with Bulldoze. And it's not really looking good. I do have to set up with Volcarona. I'm going to go into Greninja. I can't even talk. As I'm going to just fire off a Surf. It does 35% to the Togekiss, which is a decent chunk. And now I can just fire off the Ice Beam and do loads of damage to this thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't kill. It does 51%. And he actually goes for the Tailwind. I'm just like, this Togekiss is about to go in on my team. This Togekiss was a really cool set. Body Slam, Air Slash, Roost, and Tailwind. That's amazing. I'm going to fire off an Ice Beam, as I didn't realize the Roost was coming, and it's not going to do much. He was going to go for Air Slash. It does a load of damage. Luckily, he does not flinch me, as I am fire off another Surf. Now, he can Roost up here, but that would stall out the Tailwind turns, or he can just kill me off. He goes for the Body Slam. I don't get Parrot somehow, which is awesome, and I do fire off the Surf, and the Togekiss is down. So, somehow, we draw this down to 3 more Pokemon left. However, I am now in E-Speed range of Entei, which is a really big problem, as he is just going to fire off an E-Speed here, and down goes my Gren. And now for Volcarona, I would have to Roost stall this thing out, because he only has like 6 left, and I have more Roosts, but it does a little over half. He does do 66, which is the absolute max roll, which is really unfortunate. If you got like a decent amount of low rolls, I could possibly Roost stall this out, but no, then he got another max roll. Not that it doesn't matter at this point. Miltank can take a hit and use Rock Tomb, and that would kind of be the game. So I am going to concede here. I'm not going to waste his time by roosting, as I am just going to fire up a Bugsy, seeing if it kills, but on my calc it's not going to, as it doesn't. And now this next turn, Entei can just use Extreme Speed, and down goes Volcarona. So that is the game. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I think I played like absolute horse, probably one of the worst games I've played in a really long time. I think, especially in the beginning, with like not HP icing the Garchomp, not using my Tangrowth really poorly, and letting Hippowdon take the Energy Ball from Azelf, all that really stacked up. And even though I played really nice in the end game, I was so far behind because of my mistakes. It wasn't going to happen. And I also think Aqua did a really good job at making sure I couldn't come back with the Volcarona by leaving Entei and Miltank pretty healthy. So Aqua definitely did play really well. But regardless, GG, I think it was really well played. Make sure to go check out Aqua's perspective in the description below. I'm going to plug it there. Next up, we take on Blind Messiah. He has an Arceus Ice on his team, so that's going to be a really interesting battle. So make sure to go check out that next week. Also, the finals of the Ocean League is next week too, so that's going to be a big game. So make sure to go check that out. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. That's all I got for you guys. I'm going to head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.